6:47 in the morning, March 16th, 2020. Linda Sun sat at her desk in the executive chamber of the New York State government. She was 41 years of age and the deputy chief of staff to the governor. This was one of the most powerful positions in state government. Her fingers hovered over her phone as she opened a private New York State conference call. The call focused on COVID-19 response planning. State health officials were on the line, alongside the Commissioner for the Division of Human Rights. The Director of Education and Outreach for the Center for Environmental Health also joined. The discussion covered vital pandemic strategy and involved highly confidential information. Sun added a number that did not appear on the invitation list. This was a Chinese government official from the consulate in Manhattan. The official was known as People's Republic of China Official 4. Sun typed quickly into a text message to the official, instructing him to keep his phone muted. She repeated the instruction for emphasis. The call began, covering 32 minutes of pandemic response strategy. Every word was heard by Beijing. When the call ended, Chinese Official 4 sent Sun a message. The official stated it was very useful. Phone records would later show a 36-minute call between Sun's cellular phone and Chinese Official 4's phone. This call began at exactly 6:30 in the evening that same day. This was the private government conference call. It was not supposed to include foreign intelligence, but Sun had just compromised it. Sun did not know it yet. This moment, a single text message telling a Chinese official to keep his phone muted, would become Exhibit A in a federal indictment. This indictment would expose one of the most brazen foreign influence operations in New York history. 5 years later, prosecutors would ask a jury a crucial question. How did a trusted government official betray the state she swore to serve? Linda Sun was born in Nanjing, China, in 1983. At age 5, she arrived in the United States with her parents. She became a naturalized citizen, living an American dream story. She attended Barnard College, graduating in 2006 with a degree in political science. 3 years later, she earned a master's degree in education from Columbia University. She was smart, ambitious, and well-connected. In 2009, she entered public service in New York's legislative branch. Her first major role came in 2012. She became chief of staff to Assemblywoman Grace Meng. Meng would later serve in the United States House of Representatives. Sun understood how government worked, as well as power and access. That same year, the Cuomo administration hired her as Director of Asian American Affairs and Queens Regional Representative. This was a foot in the door for her. By 2018, she had risen to Deputy Chief Diversity Officer under Governor Andrew Cuomo. The position gave her extraordinary influence. She handled communications with Asian American communities, managed relationships with foreign consulates, and controlled access to the governor. In September 2021, Kathy Hochul became governor after Cuomo's resignation. Sun moved up again, becoming deputy chief of staff. This placed her in the inner circle. She attended high-level meetings, reviewed confidential documents, and shaped policy. Her government salary was $145,000 annually. This was respectable, but not extraordinary. It was certainly not enough to explain what came next. Sun lived in a 5-bedroom mansion in Manhasset, Long Island. The purchase price was $3.6 million. She paid in cash, with no mortgage or loan. She also owned a luxury condominium in Honolulu, Hawaii. The purchase price was $1.9 million, also paid in cash. In her driveway sat a 2024 Ferrari Roma. Its retail price was $287,000. Beside it was a 2024 Range Rover. Next to that sat a 2022 Mercedes GLB 250 W4. All were purchased outright, with no financing involved. The mansion sat in the Stone Hill gated community, an exclusive enclave on Long Island's North Shore. It featured 5 bedrooms, luxury finishes, high walls, and private security. Her neighbors would later tell investigators they had noticed things. They saw expensive cars appearing every few months. They also observed late-night visitors who never stayed long. Garbage bins were filled with shredded paper every Tuesday without fail. One neighbor, a retired teacher, thought perhaps they were just successful or had made smart investments. She never imagined they were foreign agents. The financial impossibility was staggering. On a government salary of $145,000 per year, Sun somehow acquired more than $7 million in luxury assets over 18 months. $7 million. The math did not work, and it could not work. Federal investigators were about to prove why. The operation began no later than 2016. Sun had been working for the New York state government for 4 years by then. She had cultivated relationships with officials from the consulate of the People's Republic of China in New York. One was Chinese Official 1, a high-ranking government official at the consulate. Another was Chinese Official 2, who was also a high-ranking official. Chinese Official 3 and Chinese Official 4 were both assigned to the political section of the consulate. Sun communicated with them constantly through WeChat messages, phone calls, and in-person meetings. She provided them something invaluable: influence over New York State government policy. In return, they made her rich. The primary target of Sun's work was Taiwan. The People's Republic of China considers Taiwan part of its territory, though the People's Republic of China has never controlled the island. Beijing demands that other governments refuse to recognize Taiwan's legitimacy. The Taiwanese government, officially the Republic of China, operates representative offices around the world. These offices conduct bilateral relations without formal diplomatic recognition. In New York, the Taipei Economic and Cultural Office served as Taiwan's de facto consulate. Representatives from the Taipei Economic and Cultural Office regularly met with high-level United States government officials. Neither Governor Cuomo nor Governor Hochul had any official policy against meeting with Taiwanese representatives. However, Sun created one anyway. On June 9, 2016, Sun wrote to a Chinese consular official. She informed the official that the Taipei Economic Office was trying to secure Politician 2 for an event during Select USA. This event was to be held in Washington, District of Columbia. The invitation had been sent to another colleague, attempting to bypass her. Sun stated she was working to resolve the issue. The Chinese official thanked her, and Sun replied that the matter had been handled satisfactorily. On June 21, 2016, Politician 2 attended the Select USA reception in Washington. This reception was hosted by the Chinese Embassy and the China General Chamber of Commerce. It was not the Taiwanese event, but the Chinese event. This was exactly as Beijing wanted. In January 2019, Sun wrote to Chinese Official 3 with a boast. Sun stated she greatly valued her relationship with the consulate. She had done many things to make the relationship between the state and the consulate flourish during her tenure. She had successfully stopped all relationships between the Taipei Economic and Cultural Office and the state. Furthermore, she had denied all requests from the Taipei Economic and Cultural Office. Chinese Official 3 responded, expressing knowledge and appreciation for her help. The official added that with them in the political section, Sun was the most important hub. She connected them with Politician 1 and his team. She had become the most important hub, Beijing's inside connection to the New York State government. On February 27, 2019, Sun directed a member of Politician 1's staff. She instructed them to decline a request for a meeting between a mayor of a Taiwanese city and Politician 1. Sun told the staff member to decline the request and explain it in person. There was no written record, just verbal instructions, as she was covering her tracks. On July 5, 2019, the Taiwanese president planned to visit New York City. The Taipei Economic and Cultural Office Deputy Consul sent Sun an invitation for Politician 1 to attend a banquet on July 12th. Several minutes after receiving the email, Sun forwarded it to Chinese official 4. She wrote for his information. Then she texted Chinese official 4, saying she had sent an email as an update. She also stated that she had already blocked the invitation. Chinese official 4 responded, acknowledging receipt and thanking her. The next day, Sun replied to the Taipei Economic and Cultural Office Deputy Consul, declining the invitation. She falsely claimed Politician 1 was hosting a summer activity day for staff in the Catskills on that date. The summer activity day had actually occurred on July 11th, not July 12th. Sun had never checked Politician 1's calendar, nor forwarded the invitation to the Executive Chamber's invitations office. She had simply blocked it, just as Beijing wanted. But what Sun did next shocked even federal prosecutors when they discovered it years later. On July 12, 2019, Sun joined a protest in Manhattan against the Taiwanese president's visit. Surveillance photographs captured by news organizations showed Sun standing among leaders of local Chinese associations. She was holding signs, demonstrating against Taiwan. This was a sitting New York State government official protesting against a Democratic ally of the United States. She acted at the direction of the Chinese government. A new Taipei Economic and Cultural Office Director of Political Affairs asked to meet for coffee in August 2019. Sun then wrote to Chinese official 1. Sun reminded Chinese official 1 that she had successfully blocked all formal and informal meetings between Politician 1, Politician 2, and the Taipei Economic and Cultural Office. Sun stated she herself had maintained only a bare minimum relationship with them. She asked for direction regarding their current request. Sun assumed that a visit to the governor's office was probably best avoided. This was to prevent any claims of recognition. However, she wanted to ensure they were in agreement. Beijing gave approval for a minimal meeting at a chain takeout restaurant. It was not held at the governor's office, and legitimacy was never to be implied. There was just enough contact to avoid suspicion. In late August 2019, Sun edited a draft statement by Politician 1. This statement commemorated soldiers and veterans of the United States and Taiwanese armed forces. Her sole proposed edit was to refrain from using the phrase Republic of China politically. This was to avoid creating an international incident by recognizing Taiwan. The reference was removed, and Beijing's wishes were fulfilled. On April 17, 2020, Taiwan donated 200,000 surgical masks to New York State. This occurred during the COVID-19 pandemic. The donation was routed through the Taipei Economic and Cultural Office in New York. A Taipei Economic and Cultural Office staff member wrote Sun asking to arrange a phone call. This call was to be between Politician 2 and the Director General of the Taipei Economic and Cultural Office. The purpose was for Taiwan to receive public acknowledgement. Sun never responded. On May 7, 2020, Sun wrote Chinese official 1. Sun informed the official that the Taipei Economic and Cultural Office had donated 200,000 surgical masks. She noted there was no formal acknowledgement. However, she would arrange for Politician 2 to call their office to thank them. She stated she just wanted to provide an update. Chinese official 1 thanked her for the notification. Controlling the narrative and minimizing Taiwan's visibility was the mission. While Sun blocked Taiwan, she opened doors for Beijing. In early 2020, as the COVID-19 pandemic exploded across New York, Sun coordinated extensively with People's Republic of China consular officials. Initially, this was to ship personal protective equipment to China. Subsequently, as the virus ravaged New York, Sun began shipping personal protective equipment and ventilators. These shipments went from China to New York State. During these communications, Sun repeatedly promoted a logistics company named Company 1. This company had its headquarters in Queens, New York. Its owner was a close friend of Sun's husband, Christopher Hugh. In her communications, Sun suggested Company 1 was actually her husband's company, though officially it belonged to someone else. On January 20, 2020, Sun wrote to People's Republic of China, Official 1. She provided an update on personal protective equipment. This equipment was donated by members of a United States-based Chinese Overseas Association to Wuhan. According to Sun, the shipping and customs clearance were provided by what she characterized as her husband's logistics company. She stated that Company 1 would provide free shipping services for shipments to epidemic areas. People's Republic of China. Official 3 sent Sun a link to a People's Republic of China media statement. This statement discussed the donation and referenced Company 1. People's Republic of China Official 3 wrote that he wanted to thank Sun's husband and his company. Sun asked to edit this reference. The edit was made. As the pandemic reached the United States, the arrangements became more lucrative. On April 3, 2020, People's Republic of China. Official 1 informed Sun. He said several Chinese foundations would donate 1,000 ventilators to the Greater New York Hospital Association. Sun told People's Republic of China, Official 1, that Politician 1 would call to thank him. After waiting 2 hours, People's Republic of China Official 1 complained he had not heard from Politician 1. Sun apologized for wasting his time. She promised Politician 1 would call the following day. People's Republic of China Official 1 instructed Sun to remind Politician 1 to thank the People's Republic of China government for facilitating the donation. On April 4, 2020, Politician 1 publicly thanked People's Republic of China Official 1. He did this in public remarks and on Twitter. This thanked him for arranging the donation. The ventilators arrived at JFK Airport in Queens that day. On April 4, 2020, the owner of Company 1 wrote to Sun. He asked if she could publicize Company 1's name. Later that day, Sun asked People's Republic of China Official 1 to promote Company 1. The company had provided logistics for the ventilator donation. People's Republic of China Official 1 agreed. Company 1 ultimately billed the New York State government more than $700,000 for providing logistics services. This occurred during spring and summer, 2020. $700,000 in total. This was for services that Sun had personally promoted to both Chinese officials and New York State officials. The following day, Sun thanked People's Republic of China Official 1 for complimenting her work to Politician 1. She stated this would empower her to do more for the People's Republic of China. People's Republic of China. Official 1 responded that he was compelled to compliment Sun's work. He characterized her work as phenomenal. However, the money flowing to Company 1 was just the beginning of her influence. Sun's influence extended beyond logistics contracts. She shaped what governors said publicly about China. In January 2021, People's Republic of China Official 4 wrote to Sun. He inquired if Politician 1 would like to make a short video commemorating the Lunar New Year. Sun replied that Politician 2 could probably do it. She asked People's Republic of China Official 4 to share talking points. These were points she wanted Politician 2 to mention. Sun promised to include these points in Politician 2's remarks. People's Republic of China. Official 4 responded with several themes. These mostly included wishes for the Lunar New Year. He suggested mentioning that 2020 had been challenging for people around the world. He also suggested mentioning how everyone fought the virus together. Sun then asked if People's Republic of China Official 4 had time for a call. That morning, a telephone call lasting approximately 10 minutes occurred between Sun's and People's Republic of China. Official 4's cellular phones. On January 25, 2021, Sun sent People's Republic of China Official 1 a video file. It was named Politician 2 Lunar New Year.move. People's Republic of China Official 1 wrote that the video was very good. He sincerely appreciated Sun for sending the message. Sun responded that Politician 2 listened to her advice more than Politician 1 had. Then Sun revealed something explosive. Sun reported that she had had an argument with Politician 2's speechwriter concerning the draft Lunar New Year message. According to Sun, the speechwriter had insisted that politician 2 mentioned the Uyghur situation in the People's Republic of China during the speech. This included the detention of Uyghurs in state-run camps in Xinjiang province. These actions represented crimes against humanity and human rights violations. The speechwriter wanted politician 2 to address this issue. People's Republic of China, official 1, commented that the speechwriter likely had never been to the People's Republic of China before. He also stated that the speechwriter did not know the People's Republic of China well. Sun agreed that the speechwriter had never been to the People's Republic of China. She stated she was starting to lose her temper. People's Republic of China. Official 1 wrote that United States People's Republic of China relations turned sour because of people like the speechwriter. Sun promised she would figure out how to remedy the situation the following day. She added that she could not let politician 2 mention the situation. In her final Lunar New Year message for 2021, politician 2 did not refer to the plight of Uyghurs. This plight existed in the People's Republic of China. People's Republic of China. Official 1 posted politician 2's Lunar New Year message to the People's Republic of China consulate Facebook page. Beijing had successfully censored the governor of New York. The governor did not even know it had happened. Sun had manipulated the message behind the scenes. This protected Beijing's interests. It also silenced criticism of human rights abuses. All this occurred while Sun drew a government salary. She also swore an oath to serve New York State. The betrayal was comprehensive. The deception was total. The rewards were extraordinary. Money flowed to Sun and her husband through multiple channels. Christopher Hu operated several business ventures. One was a seafood exporter based in Queens, organized in March 2016. Another was a purported financial consultancy based in Queens, organized in February 2016. A third was a wine and liquor business based in Queens, organized in June 2021. Sun filed the articles of incorporation for the seafood company with the New York State Department of State. Hu's businesses served as conduits for payments from Beijing. Chinese government officials steered lucrative contracts to Hu's businesses. Millions of dollars in transactions were facilitated by Sun's influence. The money did not come directly from the Chinese government. It came through front companies. These were business deals arranged by individuals who answered to Beijing. CC1 was identified in court documents as president of an association. This association was closely linked to the United Front Work Department of the Chinese Communist Party. The United Front Work Department attempted to manage relationships. It also sought to generate support for the Chinese Communist Party among elite individuals inside and outside the People's Republic of China. CC1 maintained contact with People's Republic of China government officials. He frequently traveled to the People's Republic of China for UFWD-sponsored events. CC2 was a United States legal permanent resident. He maintained active business interests in Shandong province. CC2 also served as principal of numerous United States-based Chinese organizations. Sun understood that CC1 and CC2 were acting as agents of the People's Republic of China government. This was apparent when they made requests of her. In written communications, CC1 made it clear he was acting on behalf of Beijing. In April 2018, CC1 informed Sun he was attending a Belt and Road Initiative roundtable meeting in Henan province. He indicated his meeting was organized by 5 overseas Chinese affairs offices of the Henan Provincial People's Government. CC1 stated he was the only overseas Chinese person to represent Chinese people from Henan. He would be giving remarks at the meeting. In return for Sun's political activities on behalf of Henan province, CC1 and CC2 rewarded her. They did this by aiding Hu's People's Republic of China-based commercial activities. The transactions were complex. Money moved through shell companies. Funds appeared in accounts controlled by Hu. These included wire transfers from China. There were also deposits that could not be explained by legitimate business operations. Forensic accountants would later calculate the total. Over $7 million flowed to Sun and Hu in 18 months. $7 million that bought mansions, Ferraris, and condominiums in Hawaii. However, Sun did not just receive money. She also received gifts, experiences, and favors. These included all expenses, paid travel to China. She enjoyed luxury hotels and VIP treatment. Tickets to top shows, concerts, and sporting events were provided. There was also VIP suite access for at least one event. Even employment in China for Sun's cousin was arranged through Beijing's connections. Perhaps most bizarre of all were Nanjing-style salted ducks. These were prepared by People's Republic of China, official one's personal chef. The ducks arrived at Sun's parents' home as special deliveries. This happened on at least 16 separate occasions. 16 times, a Chinese government official's personal chef prepared traditional Nanjing-style salted duck. He had it delivered to the home of Sun's parents. It seems almost comical. Salted ducks as payment for espionage. However, the ducks were just one small piece of a much larger reward system. The gifts created obligation. They created relationships. They also created debt. In Chinese political culture, such gifts carry significant weight. They bind the recipient to the giver. They create guanxi, which means reciprocal relationships based on mutual benefit. Sun understood this. She accepted it willingly. She became Beijing's asset inside the New York state government. She fraudulently obtained official documents. In spring 2018, CC1 tasked Sun with arranging for a delegation from Henan province to travel to the United States. They were to meet with Politician 2. On March 18, 2018, following a dinner event, CC1 provided Sun a list of delegation members. He also provided an English language document called Reference of Invitation Letter for Politician 2's signature. On March 23, 2018, Sun messaged CC1. She stated that the letter was complete, but Politician 2 had not yet signed it. On March 26, 2018, CC1 asked Sun to send him the original with Politician 1's signature. He would bring it to Henan. The following day, CC1 asked if there had been any word. Sun responded that she had not heard back. She indicated she could ask if she could use Politician 2's signature stamp. On March 29, 2018, Sun used her personal email account. She sent her New York State government email account a document named Reference of Invitation Letter. The document contained a draft invitation letter addressed to the Vice Chairman of the Chinese People's Consultative Conference, Henan Provincial Committee. It included a list of names, dates of birth, and official titles for each delegation member. On March 29th and April 5th, 2018, Sun provided CC 1-2 versions of an invitation letter. The letter came from the governor's office, and Sun had drafted it. She relied on language from a previously authorized invitation letter for a delegation from Jiangxi province. Sun lacked authorization to either issue or sign any new invitation letters. There is no record of Sun seeking proper authorization. The letter Sun drafted was signed by hand with a falsified version of Politician 2's signature. Sun did not have authorization to sign documents on Politician 2's behalf. On June 1st, 2018, several members of the Henan province delegation successfully applied for United States entry visas. These individuals identified themselves on visa applications as members of a delegation of Henan provincial government officials. They listed Politician 2 as the name of their contact person in the United States. They listed Sun's personal cellular telephone number as their contact phone number in the United States. This constituted visa fraud. The group used fraudulent government documents to induce foreign citizens into unlawfully entering the United States. Sun orchestrated all of these actions. She hid everything from her supervisors. On June 5, 2018, CC1 asked Sun if meeting with Politician 2 would pose a problem. Sun informed CC1 she had already arranged for the Henan province delegation to meet with Politician 2 on June 26, 2018. The meeting occurred as planned. Chinese government officials gained access to New York state leadership using fraudulent invitation letters. Sun's deception initially worked perfectly. However, it eventually failed. While Sun believed she was operating in the shadows, federal investigators had already begun watching. The Federal Bureau of Investigation had noticed something unusual. They observed an anomaly and a pattern that did not fit. Someone in the New York State government was living far beyond their known means. This individual was about to have their entire world collapse. Federal Bureau of Investigation. Forensic accountants run algorithms. These algorithms are designed to detect financial anomalies in government employee banking patterns. The system flagged luxury purchases totaling more than $7 million over 18 months. The algorithm cross-referenced this with employment records. It revealed an impossibility. Someone earning $145,000 annually was purchasing $3.6 million homes. They were paying cash for these homes. There was no mortgage and no loan involved. This discrepancy triggered a preliminary counterintelligence investigation. Federal Bureau of Investigation Special Agent Christy Curtis was assigned as the lead investigator. Agent Curtis had spent 15 years in the Bureau's counterintelligence division. She had worked on Chinese intelligence operations. She knew the patterns. She knew the methods. Furthermore, she knew when someone was operating as a foreign agent. Agent Curtis began surveillance. The Federal Bureau of Investigation deployed a standard surveillance package. This included 3 rotating vehicle teams maintaining visual contact at all times. They also used 2 fixed observation posts. These posts were equipped with long-range cameras and audio monitoring equipment. One technical specialist was assigned to monitor electronic communications. On March 15, 2020, the Federal Bureau of Investigation obtained a warrant. This warrant came from the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act Court, also known as the FISA Court. The warrant authorized electronic monitoring. Every movement was logged with precise timestamps and geographic coordinates. Every transaction was photographed and documented. The surveillance logs for April 2020 alone filled 372 pages of single-spaced entries. Agents watched Sun attend meetings at the Chinese consulate in Manhattan. They watched her meet with Chinese officials at restaurants. They documented phone calls lasting 10 minutes, 20 minutes, and 36 minutes. They intercepted WeChat messages. They photographed text messages on her phone. These messages instructed Chinese officials to keep their phones muted during government conference calls. The evidence mounted slowly and methodically. Each piece connected to the next. Bank records showed wire transfers from China. These funds were deposited into accounts controlled by who? The money was immediately used to purchase luxury assets. On one date, $847,000 was wired from a company in Qingdao, China. The recipient was a company owned by who? 3 days later, a mansion was purchased. The cost was $4.1 million. It was paid in cash. 3 days after the mansion purchase, Sun acquired a Ferrari. The price was $287,000. It was paid in full. Then came the Hawaii condominium. This cost $2.1 million. It was also paid in cash. The pattern was unmistakable. Money consistently flowed from China. Assets were purchased immediately. There was no waiting and no financing involved. Only suspicious transaction after suspicious transaction. Federal Bureau of Investigation analysts calculated that between January 2019 and July 2020, Sun and Hu received more than $7 million. These payments were connected to Sun's activities on behalf of the Chinese government. $7 million came into her possession on a government salary that could not afford even a studio apartment in Manhattan. The numbers did not lie. They never do. On July 23, 2024, Federal Bureau of Investigation agents executed a search warrant. The warrant was for Sun's Manhasset mansion. It happened at 6:47 in the morning. Agents surrounded the property. They arrived in black vehicles and wore tactical gear. Neighbors watched from their windows. They initially thought someone had been murdered. Instead, they were witnessing the beginning of the biggest Chinese influence operation case in New York history. Agents entered the mansion. They seized computers. They seized phones. They seized financial documents. They found evidence of shell companies. They uncovered more than 80 different bank accounts. They also found complex money laundering schemes. Agents seized the Ferrari, the Range Rover, and the Mercedes. They seized $210,000 in cash found inside the home. They froze bank accounts and documented everything. Sun watched as her world unraveled. However, she did not immediately break. Not yet. She had already lied to investigators once before. On July 20th, 2020, Sun had submitted to a voluntary interview with Federal Bureau of Investigation agents. During that interview, she misrepresented the purpose of one of her trips to the People's Republic of China. She concealed the fact that the trip was arranged and funded by co-conspirators. These co-conspirators represented the People's Republic of China government and the Chinese Communist Party. The Federal Bureau of Investigation knew she was lying. They had the receipts. They had the flight records. They also had communications showing Chinese officials arranging and paying for the trip. Despite this, they allowed her to speak. They documented her lies. They added these lies to the evidence file. This process built the case brick by brick. By February 14th, 2023, Sun had left her position in the executive chamber. She had moved to the New York State Department of Labor as Deputy Commissioner for Strategic Business Development. She continued operating as a Chinese agent even after changing positions. In January 2023, at the request of People's Republic of China government representatives, Sun arranged for a framed gubernatorial proclamation. This proclamation, celebrating the Lunar New Year, was produced by the Executive Chamber's Office of Correspondence. She obtained this proclamation outside ordinary channels. She did not follow protocol by seeking supervisory authorization. The proclamation was not logged in the Executive Chamber's online tracking system. Sun sent the Office of Correspondence employee, who created the proclamation, a personal gift basket. She claimed to have sent the employee wine. Both gifts were addressed to the home address of a relative of the employee. The employee then sent the framed proclamation to Sun's personal address in Long Island. On February 14th, 2023, Sun submitted to a voluntary interview. This interview was with the New York State Office of the Inspector General. During the interview, Sun claimed to attend Asian community events in her personal capacity. She stated she did not attend these in her capacity with the Department of Labor. She falsely claimed she had not requested any proclamations since transferring to the Department of Labor. Upon further questioning, she admitted she had requested a proclamation for People's Republic of China Official 1. This request came after she received a request from the People's Republic of China Consulate. She admitted attending the Lunar New Year event in mid-January 2023. She admitted People's Republic of China Official 1 had called her to the stage to speak. This official had identified her as the Deputy Commissioner of the Department of Labor. She stated she had not notified the Department of Labor about the proclamation. Furthermore, she had not received permission from the governor's office to provide the proclamation. Photographs from the People's Republic of China consulate's website showed Sun appearing at the event. The photos showed her presenting the fraudulent proclamation. She was acting as Beijing's representative while still employed by New York State. The Department of Labor terminated Sun's employment on March 2nd, 2023. However, even after termination, Sun continued representing herself as Deputy Commissioner. Through July 2023, she attended public and professional Asian community events. She purported to represent the Department of Labor at these events. On August 10th, 2023, Sun received a cease and desist letter from the Department of Labor. The letter indicated Sun had allegedly attended events representing herself as an agency official after her employment was terminated. The lies were catching up to her. The deception was unraveling. The evidence was overwhelming. On May 3rd, 2019, a wire transfer occurred. It totaled $847,000. The source company was in Qingdao, China. The recipient company was owned by who? 3 days later, a mansion was purchased. This cost $4.1 million. It was paid entirely in cash, with no mortgage or loan, just cash. Then came the Ferrari purchase. This vehicle cost $287,000. It was paid in full. Following this, a condominium in Hawaii was bought. It cost $2.1 million. This was also paid in cash. The bank records clearly showed this pattern. Money originated from China. Assets were purchased immediately. There was no waiting and no financing. It was simply suspicious transaction after suspicious transaction. The forensic accountants calculated the total amount. It was over $7 million in 18 months. This was on a government salary that could not afford a studio apartment in Manhattan. The numbers did not lie. They never do. Shell companies proliferated. More than 80 different bank accounts were involved. Who opened accounts in the name of a close relative? However, he used them exclusively for his own purposes. To open these accounts, who unlawfully used an image of the relative's driver's license. This constituted bank fraud. It also involved identity theft and money laundering. The evidence filled boxes. Spreadsheets showed payments. Wire transfer records were found. Property purchase documents and photographs of luxury vehicles were also present. There were also communications between Sun and Chinese officials. WeChat messages showed Sun bragging about blocking Taiwan. Text messages revealed Sun telling Chinese officials to keep their phones muted on government calls. Emails showed Sun editing official statements to remove references to Uyghur detention. Every digital footprint was documented. Every transaction was traced. Every lie was cataloged. The Federal Bureau of Investigation had built an airtight case. On June 26, 2025, a federal grand jury in Brooklyn returned a second superseding indictment. New charges were added. The indictment now included allegations that Sun and Hu ran a fraudulent scheme during the COVID-19 pandemic. They had helped steer lucrative New York State personal protective equipment contracts to Chinese companies. They had received kickbacks, totaling millions of dollars. Prosecutors alleged Sun doctored emails. These emails falsely claimed a third party had endorsed a personal protective equipment company run by her cousin. The Empire State was doling out emergency contracts. Lives were at stake. Sun, however, was profiteering. She was taking kickbacks while New Yorkers died. The superseding indictment brought the total charges to more than a dozen federal crimes. These included conspiracy to act as an illegal foreign agent, visa fraud, money laundering, bank fraud, identity theft, and honest services wire fraud. Each charge carried years in federal prison. Each charge was backed by mountains of evidence. Each charge was another nail in the coffin of Sun's defense. At 6:23 in the morning on September 3, 2024, Federal Bureau of Investigation agents arrived. They came to the Stone Hill gated community in Manhasset, Long Island. Special Agent Christy Curtis led the team. 47 agents surrounded the mansion. Black sport utility vehicles blocked every exit. Tactical units positioned themselves. Agent Curtis spoke into her radio. She instructed, "All units, stand by." The arrest warrant was signed. The evidence was overwhelming. The net closed around their target. At 6:47 in the morning, agents knocked on the door. Linda Sun answered. She was wearing casual clothes. She held morning coffee in her hand. Sun did not seem surprised. Perhaps she knew this day was coming. Perhaps she thought she would get away with it forever. Agent Curtis identified herself. She presented a federal arrest warrant. Linda Sun was placed in handcuffs. Her husband, Christopher Hu, was also arrested. Both were read their Miranda rights. Both remained silent. The mansion was secured. Additional agents began executing the search warrant. They seized remaining computers and additional financial documents. They cataloged every luxury item. Every piece of evidence was cataloged thoroughly. Outside, neighbors watched in shock. They had believed the woman was just a successful government official. She had appeared so accomplished. Now she was being led away in handcuffs. A federal agent walked her to an unmarked car. Her hands were cuffed behind her back. The Ferrari sat in the driveway. It was seized. The mansion's front door hung open as Federal Bureau of Investigation agents moved in and out. They carried boxes of evidence. Margaret Chen, the retired teacher 3 houses down, stood at her window. She remembered the shredded paper. She remembered the expensive cars. She also remembered the late-night visitors. Ms. Chen never imagined such events. She never suspected these activities. Now, she watched as her neighbor became a federal prisoner. At 10:15 in the morning, Sun and Hu were arraigned in Brooklyn Federal Court. The United States Attorney for the Eastern District of New York, Breon Peace, announced the charges publicly. The charges included acting as an illegal foreign agent for the Chinese government and the Chinese Communist Party. Other charges included visa fraud, money laundering conspiracy, conspiracy to commit bank fraud, and misuse of means of identification. Each count was read aloud in court. Each count carried significant prison time. The maximum potential sentence amounted to decades in federal prison. The prosecutor, Assistant United States Attorney Amanda Shami, addressed the court. Shami had spent 18 months building this case. Now came the moment to present it. She stood at the podium facing the magistrate judge. She pointed at the defendants sitting at the defense table. Her voice was clear and unwavering. Shami asserted that the defendants had betrayed the trust of New York State residents. She explained that Linda Sun held positions of significant influence in state government. Sun used this influence to serve the government of the People's Republic of China and the Chinese Communist Party. Sun acted at the direction of Chinese government officials. For example, Sun blocked Taiwanese representatives from meeting New York State officials. She also altered official statements to remove criticism of China's human rights abuses. Furthermore, Sun provided fraudulent invitation letters to help Chinese government officials enter the United States illegally. She obtained official proclamations without authorization. Sun even surreptitiously added a Chinese government official to a private New York State conference call. This call discussed the COVID-19 response. Sun told the Chinese official to keep his phone muted, preventing others from knowing his presence. In exchange for these actions, she and her husband received millions of dollars in payments. They lived a life of luxury, including mansions, Ferraris, and Hawaiian condominiums. All these luxuries were paid for by betraying New York State. The courtroom was silent. Sun sat motionless. She showed no reaction or emotion. Her attorney, Jared Schaefer, rose to respond. Schaefer stated that the defense vigorously contested these allegations. He argued that Ms. Sun was a dedicated public servant who worked tirelessly for the people of New York. The government's interpretation of her actions, he claimed, was fundamentally flawed. Schaefer asserted that Ms. Sun was simply performing her job. She was engaging with diverse communities, including the Chinese American community. He contended that these were not crimes. Instead, they were the duties of a government official charged with community outreach. The defense looked forward to addressing these charges in court. Schaefer added that his client was understandably upset that these charges had been brought. The magistrate judge set bail. Sun was released on a $1.5 million bond. The Manhasset Mansion secured this bond. Hu was released on a $500,000 bond. Both were ordered to surrender their passports. Both were ordered to avoid contact with the Chinese consulate or Chinese mission in New York. Both were ordered to remain within 3 states: New York, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania. The couple exited the courthouse. Reporters shouted questions. Sun and Hu said nothing. They climbed into a vehicle and drove away. They were free on bail, but faced life-altering consequences. The evidence presented to the grand jury was staggering. It stood out in both its scope and its detail. This evidence included phone records showing hundreds of calls between Sun and Chinese government officials. Bank records also showed millions of dollars in wire transfers from China. Property records detailed cash purchases of luxury real estate. Communications revealed Sun bragging to Chinese officials about blocking Taiwan. Text messages showed Sun instructing a Chinese official to mute his phone during a government call. Emails further proved Sun edited official statements to remove criticism of China. Witness testimony came from New York State employees who observed Sun's suspicious behavior. The Office of Correspondence employee who created the fraudulent proclamation also testified. Forensic accountants provided testimony, tracing the money trail. Federal Bureau of Investigation agents who conducted surveillance also testified. Finally, documents demonstrated visa fraud, bank fraud, and identity theft. Prosecutors had gathered extensive evidence. Phone records were time-stamped to the minute. For example, on March 16, 2020, at 6:30 in the evening, a 36-minute call occurred. This call was between Sun's phone and the phone of People's Republic of China official number 4. This was the exact time of the private government COVID-19 conference call. This was the call where Sun told the Chinese official to keep his phone muted. It was a smoking gun. Prosecutors also had financial records. These records showed exactly when money arrived. They also showed exactly when luxury items were purchased. On May 3, 2019, an $847,000 wire transfer came from Qingdao. Then, on May 6, 2019, a $4.1 million mansion was purchased. The timing proved damning. The pattern was clear. The case appeared overwhelming. On November 12, 2025, the trial began. United States District Judge Brian Cogan presided. The proceedings took place in Brooklyn Federal Court. The courthouse was packed with reporters, observers, and family members. Sun and Hu sat at the defense table. Both were dressed in business attire. Both maintained expressions of calm. Prosecutor Amanda Shami delivered opening statements. These statements lasted 90 minutes. She walked the jury through 14 years of betrayal. Shami explained how Sun rose through New York State government. All this time, Sun was secretly working for Beijing. Shami described the millions in payments. She detailed the luxury lifestyle. She mentioned the blocked meetings with Taiwan. She spoke of the censored statements. She also noted the fraudulent documents. Finally, she revealed the COVID-19 call that exposed everything. Shami told the jury that Sun's loyalty was for sale. She pointed directly at Sun and stated that the Chinese government was willing to pay for it. Linda Sun, Shami declared, was for sale. The courtroom remained silent. Jurors took notes. Sun stared straight ahead. She showed no reaction. Defense attorney Jared Schaefer countered with his own opening statement. Schaefer told jurors that Linda Sun simply did what she was hired to do. He argued that she did not commit a crime by performing her job. The evidence, he stated, would show that Linda was working on behalf of New Yorkers. This New Yorker, he insisted, was working for New York. Schaefer acknowledged that Sun received gifts. He also acknowledged that she steered state leaders away from sensitive topics concerning China. However, he argued that these actions did not make her an agent. He posed the question to the jury, "Isn't that just politics?" He further asked if that was what government officials typically do. He explained that they engage with foreign governments, maintain relationships, and facilitate diplomacy. Schaefer concluded that these actions represented government service, not espionage or betrayal. The trial was expected to last 1 month. As of this reporting, the jury had not yet reached a verdict. However, the evidence presented so far had been devastating. Witness after witness corroborated the prosecution's timeline. Document after document showed the money trail. Communication after communication revealed Sun's coordination with Chinese officials. Federal Bureau of Investigation. Special Agent Christy Curtis testified about the surveillance operation. She spoke about watching Sun meet with Chinese officials. Agent Curtis also spoke about monitoring Sun's communications. She detailed the algorithm that first flagged Sun's excessive luxury spending. Forensic accountants testified about tracing the money. They identified more than 80 different bank accounts. They found shell companies. They documented wire transfers totaling more than $7 million. Every transaction was documented. Every dollar was traced. New York State employees testified about Sun's behavior. They described how she blocked meetings with Taiwan without explanation. They also spoke of how she obtained proclamations without authorization. They further noted how she insisted on editing official statements. This was to remove references China did not like. The Office of Correspondence employee testified about creating the fraudulent proclamation. They spoke about receiving mysterious gift baskets at a relative's home. They detailed how Sun bypassed all normal channels. The testimony painted a portrait of systematic deception. It showed a government official who betrayed her oath. It depicted a woman who sold her loyalty to the highest bidder. It revealed an agent who served Beijing while pretending to serve New York. The Chinese government has not commented on the case. The Chinese consulate in New York has declined all interview requests. Beijing's official position remains that China respects the sovereignty of all nations. It also states that China does not interfere in internal affairs. However, the evidence tells a different story. The evidence shows years of systematic influence operations. It shows Chinese government officials directing a New York State employee to block Taiwan. This employee also censored statements. They provided fraudulent documents and compromised government communications. The evidence further shows Beijing willing to pay millions of dollars for that access. This included influence and control. New York Governor Kathy Hochul stated her administration fired Sun in March 2023. This occurred immediately after discovering some misconduct. Authorities were alerted at once. Governor Hochul has distanced herself from Sun. She has called the allegations disturbing. She has pledged full cooperation with federal investigators. Nevertheless, questions remain about how Sun operated undetected for so long. How did she rise so high? How did she access so much sensitive information? How did no one notice the expensive cars and the mansion on a government salary? The answers will emerge as the investigation continues. Prosecutors will dig deeper into Sun's network. They will identify other individuals who may have been compromised. Cases like this are never isolated incidents. They reveal systemic vulnerabilities. They expose how foreign intelligence services operate on American soil. They show how influence operations function. These operations do not involve dramatic spy versus spy confrontations. They are not like James Bond scenarios. Instead, they occur through the patient cultivation of government insiders. They build relationships. They provide gifts, favors, and money. This creates obligations and debts. Ultimately, it turns trusted officials into assets. Linda Sun was an asset. She was a highly effective asset. She had access, influence, and credibility. She sold all of these to China. In return, she received mansions, Ferraris, and salted ducks delivered to her parents' home. The trial continues. The jury deliberates. The verdict awaits. Regardless of the outcome, the damage is done. Trust is shattered. Security is compromised. Years of Chinese government access to New York State government operations took place. There were also years of censored statements. Diplomacy with Taiwan was blocked for years. These actions represented years of betrayal. The true cost cannot be fully calculated. However, it was enabled by one woman's decision to serve two masters. She swore an oath to New York while taking orders from Beijing. She betrayed her state for personal profit. Prosecutors now call her a foreign agent. She was for sale to the highest bidder. This case represents something larger than one corrupt official. It reveals the scope and sophistication of Chinese influence operations in the United States. The methods used here are hallmarks of Chinese intelligence strategy. These methods include cultivating government insiders. They involve financial incentives disguised as business deals. They also exploit cultural connections and patiently develop long-term assets. Sun was not recruited overnight. She was cultivated over many years. Relationships were built. Trust was established. Small favors were asked and granted. Then larger favors followed. Later, compromising actions were taken. This led to outright betrayal. The pattern is deliberate. It is effective. Furthermore, it is happening in government offices across America. The Federal Bureau of Investigation has stated that Chinese espionage and influence operations represent the most significant counterintelligence threat facing the United States. Cases like Linda Sun's prove why. She operated in one of America's most important states. She had access to governors. She shaped policy. She controlled communications. She did it all while Beijing watched, directed, and paid. The question now is not just whether Linda Sun is guilty. The question is how many others like her exist. How many government officials have been compromised at federal, state, and local levels? How many are taking Chinese money? Are they blocking Taiwan or censoring criticism of Beijing? Are they providing access and influence to a foreign government viewing America as a strategic competitor? The answers should concern every American. Linda Sun's Ferrari, mansion, and Hawaiian condo make headlines. However, the real story is what she gave Beijing in exchange. This included access to the governor of New York. It also gave influence over official statements. She provided the ability to block diplomatic engagement with Taiwan. She also gave the opportunity to listen to confidential COVID response planning. That access is priceless. That influence is dangerous. That betrayal is ongoing. The trial of Linda Sun will end. The jury will reach a verdict. Sun will either be convicted or acquitted. However, Chinese influence operations will continue. The cultivation of assets will continue. The patient, methodical, and sophisticated campaign to penetrate American government will also continue. This will happen unless Americans wake up to the threat, unless security protocols are strengthened, unless government employees are properly vetted and monitored, unless the consequences for betrayal are severe enough to deter others. Linda Sun's case must be a wake-up call. It is not just about one corrupt official. It is about a systematic campaign by a foreign adversary. This adversary seeks to compromise American government at every level. The threat is real. The damage is ongoing. The solution requires vigilance, awareness, and a commitment to protecting American sovereignty from foreign interference. The next Linda Sun is already out there. She is already being cultivated. She is already accepting gifts. She is already building relationships. She is already compromising America's interests. The only question is whether we will catch them before they do irreparable damage, or whether we will read about them in another indictment. This would be another case of betrayal. Another foreign agent for sale. If you found this documentary informative, please like this video and subscribe to the channel. We produce in-depth investigations into espionage, corruption, and national security threats. Your support helps us continue this important work. Leave a comment below with your thoughts on this case. Do you think Sun will be convicted? What sentence do you think is appropriate? How concerned are you about Chinese influence operations in American government? Share this video with anyone interested in national security, counterintelligence, or true crime. The story of Linda Sun is still developing. As the trial continues, we will provide updates. As the verdict comes in, we will report it. As the sentencing occurs, we will cover it. Stay subscribed to follow this case to its conclusion. Remember, the price of freedom is eternal vigilance. Foreign adversaries never stop trying to penetrate our government. We can never stop defending it. Thank you for watching. Stay informed, stay aware, stay vigilant.